Okay, everybody, sorry I couldn't be there today. I'm at Hoffman Estates High School today working on some curriculum stuff. It is my birthday, so I'll have some treats for you tomorrow. I somewhat promise. It depends if my wife remembers to buy something at the store. Anyway, so we're reviewing all the factoring we've done so far. And you have a quiz tomorrow, so I'll run through this video with you guys, and then you got worksheet 4 for homework practice, quiz Tuesday on the late start. So 3 types of factoring that we've been doing. We got GCF factoring, so you need to look at any common factors, and any factoring problem could start as a GCF. You should always look for a GCF first. Then we got difference of two squares problems, and those will only have 2 terms with a minus sign in between. And then you should just recognize your perfect square. And then the stuff we did on Friday was the trinomials, which will only have 3 terms. So in the blank we'll put what type of factoring we recognize, and then we'll factor it. So we have, first one, we got 2 terms, but those are not perfect squares. So this is just going to be a GCF. So the number that 4 and 12 have in common is going to be the 4. And then how many x's can they both give up? Is 3. So 4x to the third is your GCF. And when you divide, there's going to be 1x left, and then minus just the 3. Number 2, there's 2 terms with a minus sign in between, and 16 is a perfect square. So this would be difference of 2 squares. So when we factor difference of 2 squares, we write it as the product of 2 conjugates. Just didn't mean to draw a line there. Hold on. Okay. Next, we got a trinomial, 3 terms, no GCF, so this is regular trinomial factoring. So remember, we asked ourselves the question, what multiplies to a negative 40 and adds up to 3? So if I adds up to a negative 3. So if I write down all my factors of 40, I got 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 4 and 10, 5 and 8. So since they multiply to a negative, that means the numbers have to be 3 digits apart, which means it has to be the 5 and the 8. So it's going to be x with 5, x with 8, and since they add up to the negative in the middle, the 8 is going to have to be the negative. You have the bigger number needing to be negative. Number 4 is another trinomial, and so we have to look at all the numbers that multiply to 36. So we got 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, and that's it. Nope, 6 and 6. So since they multiply to a positive, we have to have numbers that add up to 13. So look at all those, and it's definitely going to be the 4 and the 9. So we got x with 4, x with 9, and they have to multiply to a positive, so they're going to be the same symbol, but if they add up to a negative, they're both negative. Number 5, 4 and 81 are perfect squares, so that, and you got that minus sign in the middle, so we're going to jump right to dots. Difference of 2 squares. So the square root of 4 is 2. Remember, we take that exponent and cut it in half, so that's going to be 2x to the third. Square root of 81 is 9. So there's the first one, and then you write its conjugate, 2x to the third minus 9. Number 6 has 3 terms. No GCF we have to worry about, so it's definitely a trinomial. So we got to list all the numbers that multiply to 6, so that's 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Now since they multiply to a negative, they have to be 5 numbers apart. So that has to be the 6 and the 1. So we'll have x and 1, x and 6. So since they add up to the negative in the middle, the bigger number has to be negative. So we'll have a plus 1 and then a minus 6. Number 7 is not a trinomial. There's no minus sign in the middle, so we need to look for a GCF. So what they have in common, of course, is they're both even, so they have a 2 that we can pull out. The lowest x would be 2, and the lowest y is going to be 3. So 2x squared y to the third. I pull that out. The first guy only has 5 y's left. And the second one, 6 divided by 2 is 3. And it's going to have 2 x's left over. Number 8 is a trinomial, but the first thing I see is that every digit, every coefficient up there, 3 goes into. So not only first, maybe it's a trinomial, but we got to pull a GCF out. So that GCF is going to be 3. And then when I pull that 3 out, I'll have x squared plus 2x plus 3. So now there's a trinomial. So we got to think of numbers that multiply to 3 and add up to 2. So 1 and 3 are the only numbers that multiply to 3. Now, can those add up to 2? No, they can't, because it doesn't multiply to a negative 3 to make that a negative 1. So then this is all I can do. This is my final answer. So all I could do is pull a GCF out there, and that's it. Number 9 looks like a trinomial. Well, it is a trinomial. It doesn't look like one. It is one. But there's no common factors to pull out, so let's list all the numbers that multiply to 44. So we got 1 and 44, 2 and 22, 4 and 11. So we need numbers that multiply to a negative that are 7 numbers apart. So it is definitely 4 and 11. So I'll have x with 4, x with 11, and since it adds up to the negative, which number has to be negative? Yep, the 11. So it'll be plus 4 and negative 11. Number 10, looks right away that it could be dots, but what's the problem here? Yeah, right there. That thing is a plus sign. So it is not a difference of 2 squares. There's no common factor. It's not a trinomial. So this one is prime. (11) 9 and 25 are both perfect squares, and 10 you could divide by 2 or cut in half. So this is difference of 2 squares. Square root of 9 is 3. X to the 10th becomes x to the 5th. And 25 becomes 5. And then I'll write its conjugate. Number 12 is a trinomial. So we got to list all the factors of 36. So 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 6 and 6. Now since they add up to 36, or multiply to 36, the numbers need to add up to 12. So out of all of these, it looks like that is going to work. So it would be x plus 6, x plus 6. Or another way we could write that is what, everybody? Good job. X plus 6 squared. $13. A lot of numbers here, a lot of variables. I think this one's going to be a GCF. So the 15, the 20, and the 25, the number that goes in all three of those would be 5. And the most x's that each of them can give up would be 3. You got to look for the smallest one. So 5x to the third is my GCF. So now when I divide, I have 3. The first one has 2 left over. 20 divided by 5 is 4. And this one will have 5 left over. And 25 divided by 5 is 5. And they gave all their x's away. 14 is a trinomial. So we got to list all the numbers that multiply to 21. So it's only 1 and 21 and 3 and 7. We need the numbers to add up to 10. So it's definitely going to be 3 and 7. And so x plus 3, x plus 7, but I made a mistake because it shouldn't be plus. If they add up to the middle, being negative, they're both going to be minus. Okay, so a little over 12 minutes. There was a quick review. So you guys got the rest of the time to finish worksheet 4. So you can get it checked. I left an answer key to worksheet 4 with Mr. Francione. So check them as you go, and you can submit it when you're done. And we got a quiz tomorrow. All right, have a good rest of your day.